Hi, my name is Sarah. I'm a dietetic student at the University of North Florida, and I'm making this video to show you the steps in conducting a nutrition assessment on a patient. This video will show you a mock counseling session where I obtained dietary information from a patient. This particular patient is 15 years old and expecting a child. So I hope this video can help you and give you the information you need to conduct a proper nutrition assessment. Good afternoon, Maria. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. So to start off the session, I just want to tell you a little bit about myself. My name's Sarah Brown, and It is always important to begin a nutrition assessment by building rapport with your patient. Introducing yourself is a good place to start. Because it is important for the patient to feel comfortable, next you should explain what this session will consist of and what you will need from the patient. My primary goal for this session is just to get as much information from you as possible about your diet, activity, any lifestyle choices that you make. So anything that you want to share is great and will really help. So to start, have you ever been on any sort of diet before? Make sure to ask the patient if they have ever followed a special diet in the past. This way, you can gauge their background of nutrition-related knowledge or lack thereof. Well, it sounds like you're doing great and you're aware of everything that's going on, and there's going to have to be some changes that are going to be made since now you're pregnant. I mean, that's a huge life change. So your doctor, I'm sure he has prescribed you prenatal supplements. Have you started taking those? Do you know anything about them? Asking about any vitamins, minerals, or supplements is also important. For this particular patient, because she is expecting a child, the dietitian should always ask about prenatal vitamins or any dietary changes that have been made recently. Well, you're doing the best you can, and it's often really hard to incorporate something new into your routine, especially when it's something that you've never done before, like adding a vitamin and trying to remember that every morning. Often, patients have a hard time adding a supplement to their diet as they usually forget. The dietitian can suggest ways to incorporate these vitamins into their daily life. I read on your chart that you're one of 6 children. Is that correct?
Yes, I have 5 brothers and 1 sister.
Okay.
And I have 3 of them are younger than me.
That's great. So you have a pretty big family. So can you tell me a little bit about what your meals are usually like? Maybe take me through a day of what you eat for each meal. Next, try and dig deeper into the patient's lifestyle or living situation. This will give a good insight into their dietary choices related to shopping for and preparing foods, meal times, and meal setup. This particular patient mentioned that she usually skips breakfast. If a patient mentioned something such as skipping meals, always make sure to dig deeper and find the root cause of this dietary choice. Gaining insight into their morning routine may help with this. It is important for dietitians to always encourage patients to never skip a meal by suggesting ways to incorporate a quick meal or snack, even if it's something that's grab and go, is one way of doing this. Since you have the patient talking about their everyday life, play off of the daily routine that you have been talking about so far to get an idea of their normal daily intakes. Since we've already discussed breakfast with this patient, next we asked about their lunch or any snack that they might have throughout the day. You're pretty busy and sometimes you don't have time to sit down for a meal and you just kind of grab it on the go. Is this true for dinner? Or can you tell me what you usually do for dinner? Is it with your family? Do you eat alone? Meal setup is an important part of dietary intake. Always make sure to ask the patient if they serve themselves portions of food or if the plate is prepared for them. Have the patient tell you what their plate usually looks like. Showing the patient ways to gauge how much food they are eating can also be helpful. When your mom makes dinner like this, does she put it on the plate for you? Is it like family style where it's in the middle of the table and you scoop your own beans and your own rice?
I scoop my own, yeah, it's family style.
Okay, so if you were to picture your plate in front of you, could you sort of explain what it might look like, how much rice you might put on it, how much beans? You can maybe use a hand, like this much rice or this much rice.
Okay.
Again, if the patient does not initially tell you specific portion sizes of each food eaten, it is important for the dietitian to gain more information about exactly how much food the patient is eating. The dietitian can do this by showing the patient how to use their hands as a model for how much food they ate. Well, it seems like you have a pretty routine schedule during the week, especially it revolves around school and waking up and coming home. So, does this meal pattern change at all on the weekends? Because this particular patient has a very routine schedule during the weekdays because of school, homework, and after-school activities, it's important for the dietitian to get an idea of how the patient eats on the weekends when their life is not as structured. Often, when the structure is not there, the diet can change greatly, either eating out at restaurants more, snacking more, or skipping meals altogether. What you just told me, all of that stuff might not seem that important, but it really gave me a good idea about what you usually eat, when you usually eat it, where you are when you eat it, and that's important for me to help you find different ways to change your diet in whatever ways necessary. So, you mentioned earlier that you've never really been on a serious diet, but that you always kind of have been conscious about your weight, and especially avoiding gaining weight. So can you tell me a little bit more about how you feel towards gaining weight? Because this patient mentioned earlier in the interview that one of her fears was weight gain during pregnancy, it's important for the dietitian to see where this fear comes from. As a pregnant mother, it is very important to gain weight in order to maintain a healthy lifestyle for your baby. The dietitian can encourage a healthy lifestyle in order to gain weight that is healthy for the baby. You're having a hard time finding foods that you want to eat that are readily available for you to eat. Besides what you've already told me, is there any sort of food allergies or foods that make you feel sick or any other types of foods that you try to avoid in your diet? During this time, the patient told me that she often does not eat fresh fruits and vegetables. In order to dig deeper and find the root cause of this, the dietitian should ask the patient why they think they do not eat as many fruits and vegetables, and if they would be willing to try to add fruits and vegetables to their diet. When you say that you don't have the option to eat fruits, what do you mean by that? During this time, it's important for the dietitian to listen for things that might explain why the patient does not consume fruits or vegetables. This patient states that she would like to eat more fruits and vegetables, but they are simply not available to her. This makes it easy for the dietitian to suggest ways to incorporate more fresh fruits and vegetables into their diet. It kind of sounds like you're not opposed to adding more fruit into your diet. You'd be willing to eat it if it was around. It's just usually not something that makes its way into your daily routine.
Yeah, it's just not really there in front of me.
Okay. That's also hard to do. I mean, fruits and vegetables are something that go bad easily. So if your mom goes to the store once a week and gets fruit at the beginning of the week, by Friday it might not be good anymore. So there's also different things we can talk about that, getting different types of fruits in your diet. So one more thing I want to discuss with you before I let you go is your activity level. Do you play any sports, or what kind of activities do you usually do? Lastly, it is important to get an idea of how active the patient is. Do they do light activities like cleaning the house, or are they more of a moderately active patient who goes on walks regularly throughout the week? These will help you assess the patient's dietary needs as well as their nutrition status. I have everything that I need for today. You gave me a lot of information and you were really open and honest, and that's great. It really helps me so that I can help you next time we meet. Anything else that you want to ask me before we leave? Close the session by thanking the patient for taking the time to cooperate and give you all of the information needed. Reinforce the fact that every detail given today will help better the counseling session next week. Make sure to ask the patient if they have any further questions before you leave. For this patient, because she is worried about weight gain and also expecting a baby, encourage her to eat healthy and not to be afraid of weight gain. Because the dietitian will be following up with this patient next week, it is important to have the patient write down any questions that they might come up with before the next session so that these issues can be addressed by the dietitian. In this case, the patient was sent home with some homework. This patient agreed to keep track of her daily intake with a food diary. Here she will write down what food she eats what time she ate them, and how much she ate. This will help the dietitian further assess the patient's diet during their follow-up counseling session.